And with President Trump rolling back Biden-era fuel efficiency standards, what does this mean for the market? Car expert Lauren Fix joins us to unpack what this means for the car industry and if cars will become cheaper. Coming up. And joining us now on the Trump-Biden reversals is Lauren Fix, automotive expert at Car Coach Reports. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. Now, President Trump saying that the Biden regulations caused the price of cars to soar more than 25%. Is that true? How much savings are we talking about here under the Trump reversal?
Yeah, the mandate for the electric vehicle tax credit and putting in the mandate for brands to produce a minimal amount of electric vehicles increase the cost of cars. To give you an idea, for example, Ford Motor Company was making the F-150 Lightning. It was costing them $44,000 of a loss on each vehicle. So you can't make that up in volume. The more vehicles they sold, that loss just compiled. Now, taking that away, they're no longer going to be making the F-150 Lightning, and almost every brand has switched to deciding they're not going to be all electric. There's a few that haven't made the transition yet, but they all will because they want to sell vehicles. And this is going to lower the price of vehicles. Also, because of the loss, what car brands did was something a little unique. Instead of offering all the same vehicles they always did, they removed all the entry level vehicles, all those below $20,000 vehicles that had minimal options. Instead, the only vehicles they were selling were ones that were fully loaded top trim levels because they made more profit and they were trying to offset the loss, and they also increased the price of vehicles. Now, with this reversal, we're going to lower the price of vehicles they should be offering, and this is what I've heard from the brands that I speak with, that they're going to offer more entry level vehicles that maybe have less options, and they're all going to try and get below that $20,000 range. Right now, there's only a few vehicles that are below $25,000, but if you can start offering new cars that are below $20,000, I think that would be very helpful to people. And of course, offering small cars, which are called K cars, like it's spelled KEI. But if they start offering those small cars here, like the Kia PV5, which they do make in other countries, they start building them here in North America. That would be fantastic. They'd be meant for city use, obviously not meant for highway use because some of our highways are quite high speeds. But think of it something along the size of a Kona EV, a Fiat 500, or a little Mini Cooper. They could be slightly smaller by a foot, but they would make it so transportation is good for new drivers or people that have to run errands around town. And all of that will lower the cost of vehicles to consumers.
We did hear President Trump talking about the cute cars in Japan and trying to get that kind of
Yeah.
technology here in the U.S. But speaking of
Mhm.
Ford, CEO Jim Farley
Mhm.
calling it a victory of common sense and affordability, adding, "We believe that people should be able to make a choice." Given that, what does this mean for the auto industry? What kind of changes can we expect to see here?
Okay, we're going to see lots of changes of more entry level cars. We're also see a mix of what's available to you. It would be gasoline, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and even diesel on the half-ton trucks. We did have all those options in the past. Under the Obama administration, they started squashing those options available. Then under Obama, he put heavier hands on what manufacturers were allowed to build. Anytime the government tells a company what to build, it's never good. We saw this happen in England, just to give you an idea. And as of today, there are some cars being built in England, but many of their car brands disappeared. We don't need that here because of how many people we employ. And so when you think about all, not just the car companies themselves, but all the sub companies from tires to components, and you realize how many jobs are hinged on the auto industry, they need to make a profit so that they can produce more products, better cars, safer cars, nicer options. And they literally, every car brand literally tried everything from removing AM radio, taking out Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which we're still fighting on this type of thing right now. But even something as silly, and this is silly, as charging for heated seats. BMW was one of the first ones to try that. That didn't go over very well. They took a lot of heat and they ended up reversing it. So car brands are going to now realize that consumers have the control. We've proven that by all the cars sitting on lots. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot more incentives, lower car prices coming in the future. It's not going to be tens of thousands of dollars, but you will see the prices start to drop because car makers need to make product that you want to buy and not product that the government tells you you should buy.
And Lauren, lastly, we saw under the Biden administration a focus on EVs, and now there's a pulling back from that. How should, car brands and manufacturers deal with this ping pong, if you will, as each administration comes in and seems to reverse course? Is there a set standard that lasts longer than one administration?
That's an excellent question. And what happened under the CRA, which is a Congressional Review Act, was signed on July 4th. President Trump signed the removal of the EPA's power, taking away all the teeth. And now, with what he came through with the Freedom Means Affordable Cars Act, which is what he just announced this past week, this is huge. This literally takes away all of the powers of the government controlling what car manufacturers make. The corporate average fuel economy, known as CAFE standards, was over 50 miles to the gallon. It will now reverse back to the 2017 standard of 36.4 miles to the gallon. And at that time, nobody met that standard except for Honda because they don't make trucks. And so now that we start to look at these changes, what you're going to see is lower price cars. You're going to see cars that you want to buy at price points that you want to buy with options and features that you want. And the last little piece of this puzzle is going to happen when President Trump finally enacts removal of all of the auto pen signatures. That'll take the teeth away from California, because California currently, through their California Air Resources Board, is calling the shots for the entire country. And that's not constitutional. One state cannot call the rules for the other 49. And that's where it is right now. This is in the courts, and it's also part of the auto pen regulations. So we're going to see some big changes coming in the auto industry, and it's going to be good for consumers.
Big moves for sure. Lauren Fix, thank you so much for joining us.
If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.